She's already ready to go.
So we're just getting this back up. We're going to have Valkyrie, who you guys will be now seeing.
Bye. Have fun playing.
Yeah, she's going to mute herself just in case she says any bad words or bad language going on over there.
And she will.
Valkyrie the Fragdoll is definitely, when it comes to playing any of the games that we play, especially this one, she's very loud, and she's definitely the leader, and she's not scared to speak her mind. And I mean, it's good though, 'cause she gets the girls, and especially this being such a team-based game, having someone like her definitely helps you win. So.
Oh, it's helpful. I think she scares random people, you know, because it'll be our firefight team, but then it'll be like 4 other random people, and she'll be trying to like strategize with them too, and they're like, "Who is this person?"
Oh, these crazy ladies. Jesse, what type of player are you? I mean, when you play, do you put your mic on? Do you try to? I mean, do you trash talk? Are you really quiet? Like, what's your style?
Really, here in the office, I try to not talk too much.
Well, yeah.
Because I've got a filthy, filthy mouth when it comes to games. And we have a few people on the team who are really good leaders, very vocal, and very open with their language when we're playing and play tests, and it's a lot of fun. I tend to be kind of more in the middle. I'll shout out intel, communicate with the team, but when I'm playing games, it's not trying to lead the squad isn't exactly what I want to do when I'm on my free time relaxing. So I'm more of just a team player.
That's kind of like me. I'm just looking at her stream right now, and I see like Prince of Persia signs and other games. How many how many different types of ads and other things are you going to see in the game?
The ads will be a lot like what you see in the environment now. These are the locations at the show. So when we're putting ads in, as you can see, they're pretty much already talking. We wanted to create a world that reflects a modern world in a couple of years. So Jero, setting wise, it's 5 minutes from now kind of idea. So we wanted to create a world that felt believable. So ads have to be present in a modern corporate commercial world, but at the same time we didn't want to take it too far and just have ads all over the place. So it'll be a bit like what you see here in the Chernovo LZ or some of our other maps. Not too much, not too little, just enough to make it feel modern.
In the middle of this map, it looks like there's almost like a DNA sequence from Assassin's Creed, or am I imagining things?
It's entirely possible. I haven't actually checked out what the posters are in a while. We change them up from time to time, but
I was like, wait, the wall.
It's been a lot of just using art from other Ubisoft games to
yeah, no, it looks good. It looks cool, and I mean, it's fun to be running around and see something that's familiar too. So it's nice. So
you know what? Hold on. We need to talk about this really quickly. You know what you're missing is an ad for a team of girl gamers who actually rock it.
Plastered across one of the walls.
That would be awesome.
People would be like, what the hell is this?
Problem is that it's playing the game at the same time it breaks the fiction, right?
Yes.
Prince of Persia, Assassin's Creed, they can still be games, but they're not playing the game. Probably more fun to play.
You guys gonna ever add a female character?
We would love to. We really, at least on the dev team, the design team, we want a female character. Our combat designer is a female.
That's awesome.
There's a female character?
This woman knows more about guns than almost anyone I've ever met. She's awesome.
That is so badass.
She posts a lot on our forums. I think her forum name is Dracophilia. You'll see her on there answering questions all the time.
That's awesome.
We've got enough female gamers on our team and enough male gamers that like female gamers to play games as well, but we definitely want to add a female. In our technology, it's a lot of work, so we've got to find the right time. We don't want to add a female and then use the same animation set as a male and have it be a woman who runs around looking exactly like a man. We want to do it right and do it justice. So it's something we'd love to do. Sorry?
If you want to bring us into Singapore and have us, like, you know, get all dressed up and do some green screen and
motion capture. Yeah, we're there.
Down.
So it's something we really hope to do, but it's something we haven't been able to do yet.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. So I know we're going to go into Saber. We're going to have her kind of go into some of the strategy questions, because I know it's such a huge part of the game. So Saber, if you want to kind of ask Jesse a few strategy.
Yeah, and Jesse, I don't know how much of this you actually want to answer, because I know you mentioned earlier in the live stream that you prefer for gamers to kind of figure it out on their own, come up with their own strategies, and I'm sure you don't design objectives or maps or any sort of game design, you know, centered around one way to win. I'm sure there's got to be multiple ways to win. But are there some good tips that you can give us for each class to play?
Certainly. First off, for any class, communicate. The more you communicate with your team, the more successful you'll all be. Especially when it comes to using your devices. Specifically, I'm looking at the assaults and the specialists here. You can use it whenever you want, and you can use it selfishly, and it may or may not make a big impact. If you go blitzing in by yourself, it's probably not going to do that well. But if you can communicate to your team that you're going to do it, wait until you have teammates nearby who can rush in to fill the void, you're going to be a lot more effective. It's also, because the assaults and the specialists can't use their ability all the time, they have to wait once they've used it, it's important to think before you act. Those devices are critical tipping points that you can use to turn a situation around. So when your team is fighting but losing to defend a point, or when you're really about to make that push to take another point, whenever you want to turn the tide in the battle, whenever you see a critical moment, that's a great time to use your abilities, your devices, for team play. And having your squad at your back will make all the difference. Just watching the live stream, saw somebody on the other team come blitzing in all by themselves. That didn't work out too well for them. They got shot down.
No, it didn't. I love watching them too, like run in and slide. I'm like, yeah, next slide, woman.
Each device certainly has some key tactics around it. Again, it's really one of my favorite things to do is see what people come up with. A lot of the ideas I've seen are things that we've discovered here or that we thought of when we were designing the abilities. But my favorite is when players come up with a way of using abilities, using devices, team play, situational, that we never thought of, that we've never seen before, that we've never done before. That's always super exciting when you get that emergent gameplay, when people are doing things you hadn't thought of. For new players, I think one of the main tactics, strategy, survival suggestions I would give anyone new coming in is don't rush ahead of your team. There's almost always going to be somebody on your team who's more experienced than you, who's done this before. Stick with them. Find the guy who stays alive the longest. Follow them around the map. Use cover. Use your map. If you press M, you can expand it out to see a wider view in 3D. If you keep it smaller, it's 2D. Either way, see where your team is clustered and follow them. It's a much better way for your first experience. You'll get more kills because you'll be able to finish off some people that your teammates started. Maybe do a little bit of kill stealing. You'll survive longer. You'll contribute more, and it's an easier learning curve. If you are charging in like you're playing some other shooter whose name I won't mention, you're probably going to get killed by a more experienced player who's in cover or in prone. He may have a high zoom scope, and he's just going to ruin your day. So calm down, breathe. Don't feel like you need to rush across the map as fast as possible. Get up to where the rest of your team is, and then stop, take stock of what's going on, and follow their lead.
Okay. And are there any good, I guess, tips for how to get around the classes? I mean, like, for example, if you know where a sniper is, where a recon person is it better to just go on their flank and try and take them out from the side, or use some teamwork to kind of, someone get, to the side, or not, just don't rush them right in the front? Like, what, you have any specific tips for how to combat the certain classes?
Absolutely, you said it. For snipers in particular, never go straight on. Look at the lines of fire. Depending on where you are on the map, it may be easy to flank them. It may be a bit more difficult. You may need to move from cover to cover. Don't forget you can walk around and crouch. It's something people forget about a lot. A lot of people go prone or they go running. Crouch is a great way to move around the map because you've got a lower profile. It's easier for you to hide from cover, but you can still move pretty fast. But think about how you're going to get there. If you know where the sniper is, whether you're with your team or not, you have got a good chance of being able to get to them and stop them. But you've got to be smart about how you move there. And take your time. It's something, I mean, I've been playing the game for a year and a half and I still forget. You get killed a couple times, you get aggro, you get emotional, you just want back in, you gotta get them, spawn, you're running, you're dying, you're spawning, you're running, you're dying. You just gotta slow down before you get to the lines. Stop running, get that weapon up, get into crouch, or prone, take sense of what's going on, use cover, see what your team's doing, work together. Keep a cool head. For assaults, well, for anyone using a shotgun, your best bet is to stay far away from them.
Yeah.
Get behind cover and use the longer...
Stay far away from them?
Absolutely. Shotguns...
Just run away.
Are they overpowered?
No. Shotguns are highly, highly damaging at very short range. But they're outstripped very quickly by other weapons. So, shotguns have had their days in the sun and their days in the shade throughout the closed beta. But what we're trying to do with GRO shotguns is create a weapon class that is competitive, that brings just as much to the table as any of the others. So when you've got sniper rifles, shotguns, assault rifles, LMGs, and SMGs, those are our primary weapon classes. They should all be equally appealing for a different combat role. And that's what we try to achieve. Now, the shotgun is one of the most highly specialized weapons, because outside of a certain range, it's going to lose its effectiveness a lot. So that means it's probably a little bit more scary in certain situations. Certainly, if you run around the corner and you're face-to-face with somebody, and they've got a shotgun, you're probably not going to have a good day. But we're determined and confident that we can keep shotguns balanced and fun.
Yeah.
SMGs, it's kind of the same thing. They're not quite as specialized as shotguns, but they're generally firing a smaller caliber of round, and they're generally suited to closer quarters combat. So if you can get some distance on them, get behind cover, engage them on your agenda, on your timeline, it can be very effective. For snipers, you want to flank them if you can. If you have the right assault rifle or LMG, you might be able to counter them from a bit further away through the use of things like bipods and more stable weapons that are better suited to counter-sniping and marksmanship. But you're going to need to be careful. You're going to need to be smart. You certainly can't engage them effectively at quite the range they can engage you. So there's some thought that goes into that. And then to counter assault rifles and LMGs, it really depends on what you're using. You've got a lot of different options. Some of the most exciting firefights are assault rifles versus LMGs and assault rifles versus assault rifles. And that's where it really comes down to your tactics, your skill, and your ability to use the environment and the level to your advantage.
Ooh, speaking of using the level to your advantage, do you have any, I guess, tips on some of the specific maps? You know, like, are there places where you should avoid or stay clear of or use this to your advantage, anything like that?
So each of the 4 maps have a slightly different design philosophy and design. They all focus around encouraging team play and creating fronts of combat around the points to allow for the kind of gameplay that makes GRO unique, that front-based combat using cover, where flanking is the exception, not the rule. But Moscow, the Chernobyl LZ in Moscow is it's a fairly linear map. There are certainly different angles and approaches you can use to your advantage, but a lot of that comes from just playing and learning the map. The Shearwater 51 map The onslaught mode is probably the most chaotic, especially when you're defending the last point or attacking the last point.
Really?
You've got so many different approaches, so many different ways people can come. You've got a lot of cover that can be shot through because it's made of cheap, thin sheet metal on that oil rig. You've got a lot of open grading, a lot of dark corners, a lot of places that feel safe and aren't. So it's really important to coordinate well with your team and defend 360 degrees. Watch each other's backs, if you will, because that map has a lot of different approaches, a lot of potential for backstabbing. The Pearl Towers map, again, it's a bit more free flow. You've got a lot of cross channel between the A and the B points. A lot of ways you can use to surprise your enemy, but it's a bit more controlled than we get in Shearwater 51. And then Markov Station just has some really interesting side routes, some long ranges of fire, some very short close ranges of fire, but it's another 5-point conquest map, just like Chernobyl LZ. So it tends to focus more around slightly more linear advancement, 1 point at a time.
All right, well, thank you for that. And I can't wait to get back in and start learning the map. That's always the hardest part for me, is learning call-outs and figuring out where people are sitting and what they use and, you know, all that stuff. So that's definitely, at least for me, the hardest part. But I like all the thought that goes into maps and their design and everything. And I'm sure you guys run tests just with, like, how often people go places and stuff. And you're probably tracking all the beta testing, right? All the people in there playing and, like, what they use the map for and where they're sitting and all that stuff.
So we start at the very beginning using SketchUp to design our maps, which allows us to, Google SketchUp, which allows us to iterate rapidly. So we might play test and change a map every day.
Oh, wow.
And then as we refine the levels design, our iterations start to slow down, but that's in large part because we've worked out the biggest problems. Then our team goes through and polishes the map, makes it beautiful, makes it feel like a real setting. And all throughout this period, we're still playtesting it internally as a team. QA tests it for us, and make changes, get feedback. Then when it's finally ready, we put it out to the beta, and that's the exciting part, because that's when players can get it. Along this way, we're also tracking actions on the map. I talked a lot earlier about a tool called DNA that we use, Design Analytics, and it tracks movement, kills, deaths, all kinds of different stuff, and allows us to look at that over the map as heat maps and other sorts of data. So we use that along with the feedback and the personal testing experiences to tune the maps, to tweak the maps as we go. We've actually just been working with the community team, has published a few of the maps on the Facebook feed recently to allow people to see the map layout and maybe plan a little bit about how they're going to use the map when they're not playing it, since normally you can only see it when you're in a match. It gives you a chance to look at it offline.
I'm getting that. I need that. That's going to be
on the
great.
Facebook, and I'm almost positive it's on forum.
Sweet. Thank you. We do have a question from the chat, and they ask, what do you plan to do for anti-cheating systems?
That is of vast importance to us. So we want to make sure it's an online shooter, right? So there's going to be people who try to cheat, and we want to ensure a cheat-free environment for our players. So we are going to be working pretty actively to ensure that we provide a great experience. Now, on the flip side, a lot of anti-cheat systems can be too aggressive, especially when you first put them in. So that's why you won't see people getting kicked right now. So we're trying to refine things and make sure that we don't have a lot of false positives. The players that are really cheating are being detected, and the players that aren't really cheating, who are just playing, don't get kicked random when they're not doing anything wrong. So that's a big focus for us here in this later portion of closed beta, is to make sure that's in good shape. And then once we're comfortable with it, we'll be able to tell you guys more about how we're planning to use it.
Okay. And can you really quickly just tell everyone in the chat again where they can redeem their codes and let people know? So I guess some people are getting a closed beta service offline message.
Okay, so there's two different closed betas. There's a European closed beta and a North American closed beta. the service hours for each of those are different. The servers themselves are independent, so it might be people trying to use the European beta. If you're in North America and you've got a beta key and you want to register, you just need to go to ghostrecononline.com. Make sure that you're at the U.S. version of the site. Log in with a Uplay account or create one if you don't already have one, and then enter your code.
All right, so hopefully that will work out for everyone who's getting that closed beta service offline message. And
Wait,
then...
Jesse, for the beta, I don't know if I read it somewhere or if I'm just making it up. Is the beta going to be open 24 hours soon?
Honestly, I don't remember or know at the moment.
Okay.
We're definitely hoping to do some 24-hour beta testing before the end of the closed beta period. It should allow us to do some more stress testing and run things over a longer period of time. But I don't remember or know exactly when that's happening. On the dev team, I'm pretty focused on just the feedback that's coming in from the beta and making sure the game is in great shape every time we do a new release. There's other people who focus more on exactly what the operating hours are and those sorts of dates and stuff like that.
Right. Hey, and when a game goes into the open beta phase, do you encounter a lot of other issues where you have to make changes to the beta, or is it by that point it's pretty much solidified and that's very close to what the full game will be?
So this is the closed beta phase now. So this is where we're gathering a lot of feedback. I mean, we've made a lot of changes. The European closed beta has been running even longer than the North American one. And we've been gathering a lot of feedback, and we've made a lot of changes to the game through the beta phase. Okay. Once we get into open beta, for us, it's kind of the beginning of the game going live. Players will be reset, and they won't be again. So when you log in at the start of open beta, or early, if you're a closed beta tester, you'll get early access for a few days. That's your real character. You're going to keep all your progression, anything you earn, all the gear you get. Now that said, we are an online, persistent, constantly evolving game. We don't see the start of open beta as the end of what we're doing with Ghost Recon Online, but really the beginning. So we will still continue to change and add to the game, hopefully for a very long time. That's the big difference between a game like this and more of a traditional box product game. Is
Gotcha.
We're just getting started.
Okay. Okay, well, that makes sense. And I know Siren's going to take over and do some questions about the maps, and I know we already talked a little bit about that. So sorry if I took some of your questions.
That's cool. I just want to make sure that I don't re-ask something that's been asked. So I know you asked already how are the maps created, which you did, and you already kind of touched base on how often you guys change them.
Right.
Somebody from your guys' forums that we kind of pulled this from was asked, some of the spawn points on these maps are far away. Will these change for the game launch, or should we expect, some long hauls to fight?
So when we look at the spawn points, it's based on which points your team holds on the map at that time. And what we try to do is create a spawn distance that allows either team to change the state of the map. So say you're playing on Shirtnovo LZ, your team owns A, B, and C, and the other team owns D and E. We want to spawn you close enough to D that you can push and try to take it, but at the same time we want the opponents to have a chance to push and try to take C. So what that means is you do get some slightly further spawn distances in certain situations. It was something that we paid a lot of attention to, but what we found through a lot of iteration is that it plays best. So we've tried closer spawn points, for example. We've tried more variation. And this really does allow for good dynamics. One of the important things with a game mode like Conquest, where you've got 5 points in a row, linear, and it can move in either direction, is the ability to switch the energy. If one team's pushing hard, you still want the other team to have a chance to recover ground and turn the tide. So the spawn points really are designed to do that. That's a really long way of saying that, yeah, they'll continue to be a little bit further away.
All right.
So we also want to know whether will compass be included to kind of designate north, south, east, west, etc.
That's certainly something that we've been talking about and looking at lately. Wouldn't rule it out. We've already got a mini map, so there's no reason that we couldn't foreseeably add a compass to that in the future.
Okay. Just add it on. For all the special people
Gotta
that
make
need
sure
roads,
it's
it's on the right way.
How's Chip doing? Really quickly, I just want to see how Chip is doing. Is he winning?
Chip is not in the match at the moment.
Good job.
I think he isn't in the team that's playing right now. So he's a little
Make
sad.
him off the team! No!
Oh, he's crying. That was cute. That was cute. But all right. And then, I did have some. Oh, Siren, did you have any more questions about maps? Or should
No, I think you guys covered it all. We do
I'm sorry.
I do have some, just questions from the chat real fast.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be a good one to kind of cover for people that are doing PC gaming. What are the current system requirements for your PC for Ghost Recon Online?
That is a good question. Can you give me a couple minutes?
Yeah.
Let's move on to another one, and I'll come back and answer that.
Just make sure you don't have your computer from Walmart, and you should be good. We'll come back.
Okay. I'll try to dig that up.
All right. And then, if you want to just go over some of the feedback questions for people that are already in the beta that can provide us feedback.
Yeah, so when you're in the closed beta, after a few rounds, it looks like you get a prompt to complete a little survey. That's pretty short. But is there any other way that we can provide more detailed feedback to you guys? Where are the venues where you can do that?
Absolutely. So one of the best venues for that is the forums, like we were talking about earlier. Myself and the rest of the design team read the forums regularly, as well as our community teams who not only read the forums but try to pull out the key points there and communicate them. We meet with the community groups once a week just to go over what's happened in the last week, what the major trends are, and feedback, how the players feel about the game, and discuss things like recon class balance, are there too many snipers, matchmaking, are guns too expensive, all kinds of different topics. So the forums are a great channel for that. We also send out surveys to specific segments of users from time to time through email, so if you get those, be sure to respond to those as well. In addition to our official forums, there's a lot of discussion on the Facebook page and some of the other independent Ghost Recon focused forums as well. As we move forward, we'll try and create new venues for communication, but I think for now the forums is one of the best places to talk about how people feel about the game. Okay.
And when you have your meetings where you discuss with your community teams what people have said online and what they want to see and stuff, how do you provide your own feedback back to the community? Is that also in forums?
Largely through the forums, also through what we change about the game.
Okay.
So there's every time we do a new release, we have release notes, and one of the things I try to make sure I do is go through all the stuff that's changed in that version of the game and pull out a few key points that I think are going to be of greater interest to the community,
right?
That are particularly salient, and make sure we kind of put those up top. So anytime you see patch notes, the top 5 to 10 things in the build will come first, and then you've got the full patch notes. So we try to make sure we give people clear feedback through actually delivering on what's needed, but also through the forums, through the different messaging channels, through things like us publishing shots of some of the maps so that people can learn more about them through the different channels.
Okay.
But again, the forums are one of the key day-to-day ones for that.
And even if you guys decide not to do something for whatever reason, do you provide that feedback as well, saying, look, here's the logical reason why, or here's why we just can't, or here's why it's not really good for this game, things like that?
Certainly sometimes. We have different, we have the design team that posts about specific issues and will respond to the players. So we try to engage in conversation.
Gotcha. Well, that's good. I know I like that. And I think we talked about this a little bit earlier, but we might just want to reiterate that anyway. So the people that are playing in the closed beta, they're leveling up, they're unlocking stuff, you know, they're really building up their characters. And will any of that carry over to the open beta and then to the full game?
Right. So unfortunately, it is a closed beta, which means we've done a lot of experimental stuff, and we need to reboot things, if you will. But we appreciate the time and the energy that everybody's putting in. So anyone who participates in the closed beta will get early access before anyone else when we go into open beta for a few days, so they can get a bit of a head start. And they'll get access to some unique rewards. A chrome pistol that they get for free to start with, a special avatar that's a Ghost Recon 5th SFG unit patch, as well as Ghost Coin that they can use to buy some special items in the store. But for our really dedicated players, people who get to level 20 or above, we want to show extra appreciation and extra support. So the pistol they're getting is a golden pistol that won't be available any other way. The only way to get that golden pistol is to hit level 20 before the closed beta is over, so hurry up.
How many hours do you think you're playing?
Yeah.
Level 20 is it's several hours. It depends on the skill of the player, but it's certainly nothing to sneeze at. It's a bit of a commitment. Again, depending on how successful you are as you play, it could take more or less time for you than it does the average play.
What about playing with a team too? Would that help? Like just leveling up? Yeah.
The more successful you are, the less time it'll take. And playing as a team is a great way to be more successful. But on average, I would say it'll probably take as long as I spend on most games that I buy.
All right, that's a lot of hours.
It's quite a few. It's not an insignificant amount of time to hit level 20. So in addition to that special golden gun, they also get a special, unique, even more elite 5th SFG avatar and some more currency to spend when the game goes live. And again, they also get that early access, as the other beta testers do. The thing is there's already quite a few people who have hit level 20 or higher in the beta. We even have some who have hit the level cap. So there are people out there with that kind of time to play, and we want to thank them for their effort and their dedication.
Yeah. What is the level cap again?
The level cap's 30 right now.
30. Okay. What is it going to be in beta or the full game?
So the level cap will stay 30 for a while. We have more levels of content, but we want to keep it from getting too much variation too quickly. So it'll stay 30 for now.
Okay. And then I had one last question for feedback. With more gamers playing in the closed beta now, what's been the most satisfying part of having a growing and a larger community now?
The feedback? So I told you guys earlier about all the awesome stuff on YouTube. Being able to watch people's videos of them playing the game and their commentary. Because we don't get to play regularly in the beta with people, that's probably the most salient day-to-day piece of real connectedness we feel. Is watching those videos. But again, when I do get the opportunity to jump into beta and play with people, it's incredible. Reading people's feedback on the forums. Here we've run some focus tests in Singapore with a smaller audience. I've run into some of the people from some of those tests outside the office and had them come talk to me about the game and tell me what they like the best. Anytime you have someone who's played the game and likes it, hearing what it is that makes it special to them, that's probably the best.
That's awesome. I can only imagine. That's very cool. It's very cool. But yeah, those are all of our pre-designated questions that we have. I think Siren's going to open it up now to the chat for open Q&A. Is that right?
Yeah, we only have a few minutes left, Jesse, and I mean, if there's anything that you want to add that maybe we didn't touch base on, feel free to add it.
Okay.
We do.
On our system specs, we're still in the process of optimizing, but we definitely want to make sure Gyro is available on a wide range of hardware. You shouldn't need a high-spec machine. I myself have a laptop that I can play Gyro on, so most machines that are fairly modern should have no trouble playing the game. And that's an area that we'll continue to expend energy to make the game playable on as wide a range of hardware as possible.
Perfect. So, like I was saying, as long as you don't have your Walmart PC like I have, you'll be good.
Oh, you have a PC that it doesn't run on?
I'm talking
If you've got a dual core CPU.
Well, because I'm a Mac, I use Mac. That's why. So.
Oh right, you need to boot camp it. It only runs on Windows.
I haven't done that yet. So I'm playing on like an ancient POS PC that I need to upgrade. But I'm such a Mac fan. I definitely need to boot it, but I haven't yet. So.
It should be accessible as long as you've got a dual core CPU and some form of graphics card that supports shader model 2 or above. You should be fine. So we've got many years old rigs that play the game just fine.
Perfect. So anybody that's in chat, we want to open it up to you guys. We've got about 10 minutes left. Any questions you have for Jesse, could be anything, as long as it's something that he can answer. If he can't answer it, then he will just say pass.
Sounds good.
Does that work? And it could be, it could be questions about the game, it could be questions about his job. I know that we did cover a lot of that earlier on, but I know a lot of people will probably just be joining us a little bit later in the stream, so they might have missed something. Feel free if we need to repeat anything. It won't bother us in any way. So make sure you guys post those in the chat. We'll ask them. And then also, if you guys haven't already, make sure you follow us on our Twitter account. So it's @FragDolls. Speed it up. We're still going to be giving away codes. All you have to do is make sure you put #D&D in it and then retweet one of the tweets that we sent out earlier tonight. And we'll be giving out codes. And then also make sure you follow Ghost Rec Online. So it's Ghost and then REC Online. And then also follow them on Facebook. It's just Ghost Recon Online. So make sure you guys touch all those bases. Let's see if we got any questions yet.
Oh, that's kind of a good one. Not even kind of, it's a really good one. Sorry, I was just kind of thinking I said it. So one person, I think it's Apocalypse? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why was the decision to go with a third-person shooter rather than a first-person shooter game?
So we wanted to create something that drew from the Ghost Recon franchise, that was different from what's become the dominant type of shooter in the market, and that really played well to team play, slightly more tactical. Combine that with the fact that it's a game about building up your character. We wanted you to be able to see it. It's a lot more rewarding when you can see the guy that you've been spending hours building up, getting better gear for, changing his armor, his camo, etc. So the combination of the goal of tactical and team play and cover, they all kind of come together to work well for a third person. For people who really just can't give up their first-person viewpoint, whenever you're aiming, you're looking right down the iron sights of the gun or down the scope. And, I use that to shoot, and then I run around in third person. So it's like the best of both worlds, or it can be.
Okay.
So I got another. We got quite a few coming in now. Somebody asked about the party size. The party size right now is a max of 4. Will it ever be increased to 8?
So we've reduced the fire team size and set it at 4 for a number of reasons. But for regular ranked AMM, because you have 8 players to a side, by limiting it to 4, it means you can't create a single team that will just steamroll everything you come up against. It's that old problem of pre-mades versus pickup groups, right? So we want to limit that for this freer version of matchmaking, where anybody jumps in, quick play. It's also a lot easier to organize a fire team of 4. It's the size of unit that the U.S. military uses for Special Forces fire teams, and it's tactically a lot easier to work with a group of 4 than it is with a larger group.
Especially if it's 8 girls versus 4 girls. You can just say that's why.
So it's a lot easier to coordinate and be effective for the average person. Of course, there's people who can organize 8 people, but a lot of people should be able to organize 4. We definitely want to provide people with other ways to play the game in the future. one of those that we realize is incredibly important is to be able, for the more competitive players, for clans, things like that, to be able to choose 8 players on one team and 8 players on another team. And not only choose all 8 people on your side, but be able to choose who your opponent is. So that's something that we're very aware is very important to the future of Recon Online. I can't say too much more other than that that's something that we'll be focusing on to make sure we bring to people.
Okay. I know someone is asking again, probably someone that just joined us, why does the server say that they're offline? So it's probably the European servers, you guys. Make sure you go to the website. It will post both the North America server times and then also the European servers. So this one...
Yeah, go for it.
Can I ask more? This one is actually from that Tom Clancy. This is actually Tom Clancy's son. And he wants to know, is there a story to the game in any way or any level-specific content?
Okay, so GRO exists in the same universe as GRFS, this Recon universe. There is a certain story to the game, but I'm not prepared to reveal it today.
Ooh, all right.
That was a pass! Amy, what was your question? Sorry, I just had to ask that one. You just missed our whole entire conversation 2 seconds ago.
That's true. Yeah.
You gotta rewatch
The whole thing. Justin Bieber. Yeah. Oh.
You play Justin Bieber?
Yeah.
How funny. Somebody else wants to know, do we get anything extra special if we get all 3 characters to level 30?
That's a good question. If somebody gets all 3 characters to level 30, I will do what I can to convince the other departments, marketing and PR, to give them something.
You'll get a pink gun. Instead of a gold gun, you'll get a pink gun.
That's right.
I don't believe you.
Let's see what else we got. Questions are coming too fast.
I'm just trying to read the chat.
So there's a question from Calvev. Is it possible to bring down Aegis Shield by firing at them?
Yeah.
Yes. When the Aegis Shield goes up, anything you do does do damage to it and will help it come down faster. So when I'm playing my specialist with my LMG, if I see an Aegis Shield go up across the map, I unload on it because I know I'll help bring it down faster, and my friends will be able to take them out quicker. Also, each bullet that hits deflects in a random direction, which is why every now and then, even when you're using an Aegis Shield, you'll take a little bit of damage. It's just because the bullet happens to deflect inwards instead of outwards. It doesn't happen often, but the technology is still relatively experimental and important.
See what else we got. Keep asking questions, guys.
That's Spectra who's typing to us. She wants a Ragdoll custom skin. Ragdoll custom skin for leveling up all 3 characters to level 30.
That would be so sweet.
I'm down to that. Someone just asked how many maps will we get. I assume it means at launch.
So at the moment, there's 4 maps in the game. We've got other maps in development. We'll be continuing to add maps to GRO for the foreseeable future. Yeah. They'll keep being more. We'll introduce new ones. We make improvements and changes to the ones that are already there. I know a lot of players right now have some problems with spawn camping on both of our Onslaught maps, Shearwater 51 and Korolov Towers. So we've been working on some improvements to those maps to reduce the ability to spawn camp. Because spawn camping is not really fun for anybody. It's just too hard to resist for those who can do it. So we got to fix that.
So, Calvev asked, I know you told us what the most used classes in terms of people on the beta, but in Dev Studio, what is the most used class? Is it the same?
It's a pretty good spread. An interesting fact is, although Recons are the most popular class, followed by Assault, and Specialists are the least used, the Specialists have the best kill-death ratio in the beta. Internally, we see a good balance. Oftentimes, we'll see the same changes that the public sees just a few weeks earlier, and we'll see trends. And if people switch class, we start to see them clumping together. That's a good sign to me that we need to look into something and make some changes. But it's a pretty good distribution. We've also got a lot of people here because we work on the game, because we've been playing here for so long. We get a lot of people who run multiple classes and switch based on what team they're in. So I, for example, play Specialist or Assault. Chip plays Assault or Recon. And based on who is in our team and what their classes are, we'll switch characters to contribute better to the team.
Second Opinion Productions asks, as time goes on, will there ever be a chance that online mode will get a co-op story mode?
Is there a chance that we'll have a co-op story mode? Of course. There's a chance that we'll do a lot of different things. Co-op is certainly something we're really interested in. Ghost Recon Online is an online game, and for us that means that you should always be playing with other people. So the traditional single player, not really in our focus area, but co-op is just as fulfilling as competitive gameplay, and sometimes it's nice to be able to do something a little bit less intense than fighting against other humans. So I'd love to do co-op.
Very cool.
Keep the questions going. We got 1 minute left. Maybe one time for one more question.
Only 1 minute.
One more, make it good.
Ninja or pirate?
Specialist.
Good answer.
You would.
No, I'm from San Diego. I grew up on the beach. I'd have to go with pirates.
Do you miss San Diego in any way?
Absolutely. It's California's great. It's one of the best places on earth. I miss it, but I get back every year or so, and I see somebody from Encinitas, my hometown. Yeah, it's great, but so Singapore. So, life is about experience, traveling new places, seeing new things. I'm sure I'll end up in San Diego someday.
That's awesome. Okay, well, I just want to make sure to everybody, we got the last second. Make sure you guys go follow Ghost Recon Online. Follow them on Facebook. Also follow them on Twitter. For Twitter, it's Ghost Rec Online, so Ghost REC Online. And then for Facebook, it's Ghost Recon Online. And then make sure you follow the Fragdolls at Fragdolls. And then our Facebook is Facebook /Fragdolls. And then make sure you guys follow us for our streams. We do Dolls and Devs at least minimum once a month. But we stream every day. We either got a Fragdoll streaming a game or we've got a Cadet streaming a game. So make sure you guys go up and follow us so you can watch all of our lovely streams that we do. Any last questions anybody wants to ask, or just anything that you want to add?
Ghost Recon Online's in closed beta now. Play it now. You can see what it's all about and learn the tactics before we go live. If you don't get in the closed beta, be sure to check us out when we go into the open. I'm not going to tell you what my in-game name is because I like my privacy, but I look forward to shooting you on the servers.
You don't want to get stalked. Aww.
Aww.
We'll post it for you guys. No, just kidding. Alright, well, I just want to thank you so much, Jesse, and then also we want to thank Chip. He's hiding down there somewhere in our little Skype chat. He's been playing all night. Thank you so much, you guys.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks to you guys.
Your day. I mean, you guys, it's what now over there, like 11?
It's noon here now. I just want to thank everybody who showed up to check out Ghost Recon Online, everybody who's in the beta now, and everybody who's going to be in the beta soon. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
And thank you, too.
Thanks, guys.
So, hopefully, Amy's probably so into her game, she's just going to keep this